A transgression. A town official called Miguyev stopped at a telegraph post in the course of his evening walk and heaved a deep sigh. A week before, as he was returning home from his evening walk, he'd been overtaken at the same spot by his former housemaid, Anya, who said to him viciously,
"Wait a bit. I'll teach you to ruin innocent girls. I'll leave the baby at your door, and I'll have the law on you. And I'll tell your wife, too."
And she demanded that he should put 5,000 rubles into the bank in her name. Miguyev remembered it, heaved a sigh, and once more reproached himself with heartfelt repentance for the momentary infatuation which had caused him so much worry and misery. When he reached the bungalow, he sat down to rest on the doorstep. It was just 10 o'clock, and a bit of the moon peeped out from behind the clouds. There was not a soul in the street, nor near the bungalows. The more elderly summer visitors were already going to bed, while some of the young ones were walking in the wood. Feeling in both his pockets for a match to light his cigarette, Miguyev brought his elbow into contact with something soft. He looked idly at his right elbow, and his face was instantly contorted by a look of as much horror as though he'd seen a snake beside him. On the step, at the very door, lay a bundle. Something oblong in shape was wrapped up in something, judging by the feel of it, a wadded quilt. One end of the bundle was a little open, and the town official, putting in his hand, felt something damp and warm. He leapt to his feet in horror and looked about him like a criminal trying to escape from his warders. "She's left it," he muttered wrathfully through his teeth, clenching his fists.
"Here it lies. Here it lies, my transgression. It's here. Oh, Lord!"
He was numb with terror, anger, shame. What was he to do now? What would his wife say if she found out? What would his colleagues at the office say? His Excellency would be sure to dig him in the ribs, laugh, and say, "I congratulate you. Though your beard is grey, your heart is gay. Oh, you're a rogue, Semyon Erastovich." The whole colony of summer visitors would know his secret now, and probably the respectable mothers of families would shut their doors to him. Such incidents always get into the papers, and the humble name of Miguyev would be published all over Russia. The middle window of the bungalow was open, and he could distinctly hear his wife, Varvara Filipovna, laying the table for supper. In the yard, close to the gate, Yamolov, the porter, was plaintively strumming on the balalaika. The baby had only to wake and begin to cry, and the secret would be discovered. Miguyev was conscious of an overwhelming desire to make haste. "Hurry, hurry," he muttered, "this minute before anyone sees. I'll carry it away and I'll lay it on somebody else's doorstep." Miguyev took the bundle in one hand and quietly, with a deliberate step to avoid awakening suspicion, went down the street. It was a wonderfully nasty situation, he thought, trying to seem unconcerned. A town official walking down the street with a baby. Oh, good heavens. If anyone sees me and guesses the truth, I'm done for. I'd better put it on this doorstep. No, wait. The windows are open. Perhaps somebody's looking. Oh, what shall I do with it? Where shall I put it? I know. I'll take it to the merchant, Mielkin's. Merchants are rich and tender-hearted people. It's quite likely they'll say thank you and adopt it. And Miguyev made up his mind to take the baby to Mielkin's, although the merchant's villa was close to the river, quite some way off. "I hope it doesn't begin screaming or wriggle out of the bundle," thought the town official. "And yet, this is really rather nice, you know. Here am I, carrying a human being under my arm, as though it were a portfolio. A human being, alive, with soul, with feelings like anyone else. If by good luck the Mielkins adopt him, he may turn out somebody. Maybe he'll become a professor, a great general, an author. Oh, anything may happen. And now here am I, carrying him under my arm like a bundle of rubbish. And perhaps in 30 or 40 years, I may not be permitted even to sit down in his presence. As Miguyev was walking along a narrow, deserted alley beside a long row of fences in the thick black shade of the lime trees, it suddenly struck him that what he was doing was very cruel, criminal. How mean it is, really. So mean that one can't imagine anything meaner. Why are we carting this poor baby from door to door? It's not its fault that it's been born. It's done no harm. We're scoundrels. We have our fun, and the innocent babies have to pay the penalty. Only to think of all this wretched business. I've done wrong, and the child has a cruel fate before it. Now, if I lay it at the Mielkins' door, they'll send it to the foundling hospital, and there it'll grow up among strangers in a dull routine. No love, no warmth, no spoiling. And then he'll take to drink, will learn to use filthy language. He'll starve, go hungry, be a cheap shoemaker. And he, my son, the son of a town official of good family, he's my flesh and blood. Miguyev came out of the shade of the lime trees into the bright moonlight of the open road, and opening the bundle, he looked at the baby. Asleep. Oh, you little rascal. Why, you've got a nose like your father's. He sleeps and he doesn't feel that it's his father looking at him, his own father. It's a drama, my boy. Well, you must forgive me. Forgive me, old boy. It seems it's your fate. The town official blinked and his cheek quivered. He wrapped up the baby, put him under his arm, and strode on. All the way to the Mielkins' villa, his brain was in a whirl, and conscience was gnawing at him. If I were a decent, honest man, I should damn everything and go with this baby to Varvara Filipovna and fall on my knees before her and say, "Forgive me, I've sinned, torture me, but we won't ruin an innocent child. We have no children, let us adopt him. She's a good sort. She'd consent, and then my child would be with me." He reached the Mielkins' villa and stood still, hesitating. He imagined himself in the parlor at home, sitting reading the paper while a little boy with a nose like his played with the tassels of his dressing gown. At the same time, he could see in his mind's eye his winking colleagues and His Excellency digging him in the ribs and guffawing. Besides the pricking of his conscience, there was something warm, sad, and tender in his heart. Cautiously, the town official laid the baby on the veranda step and waved his hand. And then again he felt his cheeks quiver. "Forgive me, old fellow. I'm a scoundrel. Don't remember evil against me." He stepped back, but immediately cleared his throat resolutely and said, "Oh, come what will. Damn it all, I'll take him and let people say what they like." Miguyev took the baby and strode rapidly back. "Let them say what they like. I'll go at once, fall on my knees, and I'll say, 'Varvara Filipovna, you're a good sort.' She'll understand, and we'll bring him up. And if it's a boy, we'll call him Vladimir, and if it's a girl, we'll call her Varvara. Anyway, it'll be a comfort in our old age." And that's what he did, weeping and almost faint with shame and terror. Full of hope and vague rapture, he went into his bungalow, went up to his wife, and fell on his knees before her. "Varvara Filipovna," he said with a sob, and laid the baby on the floor. "Hear me before you punish me. I've sinned. This is my child. You remember Anya? Well, it was the devil drove me to it." And almost unconscious with shame and terror, he jumped up without waiting for an answer and ran out into the open air as though he'd received a thrashing. "I'll stay here outside till she calls me. I'll give her time to recover and to think it over." And the porter, Yermolov, passed him with his balalaika, glanced at him and shrugged his shoulders. And a minute later he passed him again, and again he shrugged his shoulders. Well, I never, he muttered, grinning. Aksenia, the washerwoman, was here just now, Semyon Erastovich. The silly woman put her baby down on the steps here. And, well, while she was indoors with me, someone took the baby and carried it off. Now, who'd have done a thing like that?
What? What are you saying?
Shouted Miguyev at the top of his voice. Yermolov, interpreting his master's wrath in his own way, scratched his head and sighed. I'm sorry, Semyon Erastovich, but it's the summer holidays. One can't get on without, without a woman, I mean. And glancing at his master's eyes, glaring at him with anger and astonishment, he cleared his throat guiltily and went on. Well, it's a sin, of course, but there, what is one to do? You've forbidden us to have strangers in the house, I know, but we've none of our own now. When Anya was here, I had no women to see me, for I had one at home. But now, well, you can see for yourself, sir. One can't help having strangers. In Anya's time, of course, there was nothing irregular, because...
Be off, you scoundrel!
Miguyev shouted at him, stamping, and he went back into the room. Varvara Filipovna, amazed and wrathful, was sitting, as before, her tear-stained eyes fixed on the baby. There, Miguyev muttered with a pale face, twisting his lips into a smile.
It was a joke. It's not my baby. It's the washerwoman's. I was joking. Yes, it's Yermolov's, the porter's. Oh, take it to him.